put the hip shit on the shelf. Cause the way the real wealth is being real itself. My eye haven't seen the glory of the coming of the left. I can't do it by myself, so I'm asking for help. It's time to switch it up, put the hip shit on the shelf. Cause the way the real wealth is being real itself. My eye haven't seen the glory of the coming of the left. I can't do it by myself, so I'm asking for help.
Money, money, money. That's all you got to like being wealthy. Like Kanye West said, having money is not everything, not having it is. No, Deuteronomy 8:18 says God gives us the ability to create wealth. No, it's the love of money that's the word. You don't like money so much, why you get up and go to work? Yeah, I do think about one of the things that my things I'm just trying to leave a legacy for money. It's not everything, but when you got it, you can do some cool stuff. And now, your host for Talking Money in the Morning, financial health mentor to the working class, Mr. Hcortez.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to Talking Money in the Morning Live with your main man, Hcortez, the one and only financial health mentor to the Black community, where I do my absolute best to bring practical yet proven wealth building strategies to working men and women all over this great nation of ours. Got a little too much Carmax on this morning. It is truly an honor, a privilege, and a blessing to be able to come to you guys each and every morning as we discuss topics of money, success, wealth, entrepreneurship, and you guys tune in each and every morning. I'm coming to you live this morning from the Monetize My Life Academy Studios here in St. Louis, Missouri. If you have not picked up the book, Monetize My Life, you can still do so at www.monetizemylifeacademy.com. I have a special treat for all of those who have pre-ordered already as I continue to build on the membership site. I do have the right platform. Now I'm aggregating all the content that you guys are going to be able to have access to in that membership site. So bear with me as I continue to build up on that. But in the meantime, I'm going to send you a very special video this week that's going to help you along the ways as you're going through the PDF. I did get the actual paperback copies in, so those will be going out this week as well. But anybody who wants to grab a copy of Monetize My Life, simply go to www.monetizemylifeacademy.com, and those books will be going out in the mail this week. And the Academy should be available probably mid-May, but I'm going to keep you hit up with some content along the way. And then once the membership site is up, of course, I will give you guys access to the membership site and start your 3 free months. Really quickly, guys, if you're checking us out on YouTube, do me a huge favor. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And then go ahead and grab the link and share it on your favorite social media timeline, whether it's LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you like to share stuff, you can do that. And we appreciate that. That kind of just helps people know that there's a place that you can start your morning with some positive energy, man, some positive information, some information that can change your life. Nothing wrong with starting your morning with Tom Joyner or Ricky Smiley or Steve Harvey or whoever else. I'm just saying there is some alternatives to that, and I try to be one of those alternatives. Do the same thing for me on Facebook, guys. If you haven't already, go ahead and share the stream on your timeline. Invite a couple people to come check us out so that we can, again, show Facebook there are not only people who are putting out good, positive content, there are also people who like good, positive content. So that's where the likes and the hearts and things come in. They count the shares, they count the likes, they count the comments, and that's how they determine who's got a good show. And that's how they decide when they push out the notifications and they push out the show to build the audience. Those are some of the things that they factor in when they're building that audience. So I do have my comment stream up, so you will be able to comment and interact with the guests that I have on for today. Today's show is brought to you by Project 1000 and Black Literacy Week. Next week, guys, we're doing Black Literacy Week. And if you have not, I have 2 spots open. If you know a couple authors who want to come on for Black Literacy Week and promote their book and tell us all about them and what the book is all about, the inspiration behind the book, their brands, anything else that they have to offer. It is $50 for them to be on for a 30-minute interview. They get to promote the brand. In addition to that, they get a free 1-hour coaching session, which we did last night with all of the authors, and I gave them some tips on how to maximize this opportunity. They also get 2 video clips that will come out of the interview that they can use for future promotion. And then, of course, my show, I do with all my shows, I syndicate on Blog Talk and Stitcher. I syndicate on my blog. I syndicate on my fan page. Of course, my personal profile page is where it is hosted, as well as my YouTube channel. And my reach is about 20,000 right now. My reach is about 20,000 right now. And then when I get into syndication, putting it into different groups and things of that nature, I really go from 20,000 to about 50,000. So if you know somebody who wants to get their brand, their book, start marketing in front of about 30 to 50,000 people with an interview on the show, let them know they can get all of that for just $50 for a 30-minute spot on the show. Project 1000 is all about helping you minimize your taxes, eliminate debt, free up the cash you need to start investing, and then putting you in position to use investment strategies. And then we just added a credit restoration piece. So if you want credit restoration, you can join my team for $35 at $35 a month. That gives you the license to retail all of these products and this service and start making some money with us. Or if you just want credit restoration, we have a do-it-yourself model, $99.95 one time, not per month, one time, and you get everything you need to know to restore your own credit. And you can do that in the next 90 to 180 days, man. It's powerful, powerful credit education system. What's so beautiful about it is you actually get the knowledge of what the credit repair companies don't want you to know, so you learn how to do it yourself so that you can maintain it yourself. And then we also go a step further and we teach you how to leverage credit to build wealth. So phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal system. If you want that, just send me an inbox and tell me whether you want to join my team or whether you just want the credit restoration piece for the one-time payment of $100. And then I will get you the information and send you along the path to do just that. So without further ado, guys, I'm going to bring to you this young man who I've been following for a couple months now and getting to know a little bit better. And I was in Chicago on the west side early in April. I got to hang out with some folks over there and to see really, guys, that Chicago is like a lot of urban centers around the country, man, just struggling because the mindset of the people are on one hand, and then you got the policies, the politics and procedures that's helping to suppress those people on the other hand. But then you got a guy like this guy that I'm going to introduce you today, who's doing all he can to help change the mindset of our kids first and foremost, and affect the mindset of their parents through the kids to give the kids a different outlet and a different outlook. So it gives me a great deal of honor and pleasure to introduce to you guys the founder and CEO of Blessed2Ball, Mr. Karvell Bailey. How you doing this morning, brother?
I'm all right. How you doing?
I am blessed, man. Excited to have you aboard, man. You know, and all we hear now, I'm just going to give it to you from where we are, from our perspective. All we hear being in St. Louis, and I'm sure testify if you are around the country, testify if this is your statement too. All I hear being in St. Louis about Chicago is the violence, is the negativity, is the gangs, is that. So if you are outside of Chicago, tell me, is that all you hear when the news and the media outlets are mentioning Chicago? Let me know in the comments if that's all you hear as well, because that's all in St. Louis. That's all we hear. Every now and then we hear a little bit about the Cubs, maybe, right? Maybe this past week we heard about the picks that the Chicago Bears made, but mostly we are hearing about the murder count. We're hearing about the gang violence. We're hearing about the drugs. We're hearing about all the negative stuff, man. So it was important for me to have somebody like you on the show, because I want people to know that there are some good stuff going on in Chicago, man. And so tell us a little bit about who you are first and foremost, and then talk to us a little bit about what Blessed2Ball is and what you guys are doing in the community.
Well, again, my name is Karvell Bailey, and I always like to say I'm a child of God first. I'm a husband, father, son, brother, former dean of students, been in education, for maybe 15 years or so, been working with kids and coaching since 1993. Started that as soon as I graduated from high school. And, you know, being a dean of students in one of the more rugged parts of the city, actually, when you were here, you know, the school I worked at was right down the street. Or, you know, they just won a state championship, and also been a college head coach at Truman College, Malcolm X College, college assistant coach at South Suburban College on 2 different occasions. I coached high school at Hyde Park Academy in one of the more affluent neighborhoods. Did that for about 6 years when I first started out. And so just in my development and in my learning, you know, coaching high school, I used to see guys, you know, after their 4 years, they wanted to go, but maybe were just regular talent and didn't have opportunity to go anywhere. So I said, well, I need to, you know, get on the college level because I want to help these kids get an education. And, you know, I was able to fulfill my dream with that. And, you know, from there, was able to help out a lot more individuals. And, you know, so coaching is a passion, man. And it's more so teaching. And I can say that, you know, you and I have lots of similarities, you know, not only from a business standpoint with what we do, which is how we met, you know, but then being able to understand the symmetry that we both have with teaching basketball, you know, and I think, you know, I use the word teacher more than I use the word coach because, you know, teaching is really breaking down and, you know, trying to reach those individuals from a simplistic standpoint.
So now let's transition a little bit. So you went from that as who Karvell is, and you said, you know what, I need to create something more for the people in the community, and that's where Blessed2Ball came in. So tell us a little bit about Blessed2Ball and how you're using that to bless the community.
Exactly. Well, Blessed2Ball, it's a year-round skill development company where we enhance physical, social, emotional, mental stability of the individual as well as the parents. And we use that through the vehicle of basketball. So we do individual sessions, and me being a college coach, you know, when we say individual sessions, it's really a small group, you know, anywhere between 1 and 3, 1 and 4. And then we do large groups. We do camps, we do clinics. We also do parent consultation, you know, help, you know, parents with whatever information that they may need in understanding the business side of basketball, you know, and we also do after school programs. So what we just got into this year is character development after school programs. And so that's really taken off, you know, probably other than the violence, you know, you hear about the school budgets, you know, here, and, you know, probably kids in my, you know, program and basically teach life. You know, everyone says life skills, but in which anything that you do in life is a skill, but are we really pounding them and trying to educate them on how basketball and life correlate? So that's what I love to do.
Yeah, so you mentioned a few things, man, that I want to touch on, man, because if you are growing up in an environment like that, which Chicago is, and you mentioned that it's not all bad, right? There are some bad actors. There are some characters who benefit from the negativity, i.e. media. People tune into that stuff, so that's what they like to show, get their ratings up. and then those are other entities who also eat off of the depravity and things of that nature. But let's be honest, there is some some violence and stuff that goes on. But if you are subjected to that kind of environment, you said your character development program uses basketball not only to strengthen physical skills, but also you guys help people mentally, emotionally, spiritually, which I would imagine if I'm a young guy with a passion for basketball, I'm a young gal with a passion for basketball, and I found out that one of my teammates just lost their sister to gun violence or just lost their brother to gun violence, I need a program like that to immerse myself into, to kind of help me deal with and cope with that. So give me some examples of how you guys do, or maybe some things, one or two things that's in your curriculum that help people, the young students, deal with some of that emotional trauma that they experience just growing up in poverty, and the things that people do when they are impoverished, right? That leads to crime and violence and that kind of stuff. So how do you help kids cope with that stuff?
Well, one is trust, getting them to, be able to trust. But before you can, get to trust with coaching or with dean, anything, you have to build relationships. And so what we always, try to get our students to understand is that you have a voice. And there's a difference in people listening to you and people hearing you. And so we try to stress that, getting them to understand that most of their issues, either in the community or in school or even at home, is not necessarily that one act, but it's the reaction to the act or the reaction to the correction that they get. And because they don't know how to express themselves in the proper way, now people only hear them and they don't listen to them. So we do a lot of public speaking, getting up in front of one another, just feeling comfortable with who you are, as well as transparency. It's not that bad as I thought it was if my buddy over here can do it. Right. And then if another person can do it, then I can do it. So we really stress the difference in listening and hearing, and we do a lot of different things. I don't want to, give my whole curriculum up, but we basically touch on if it's things that's happening in the neighborhood, things that's happening in school. Just being transparent, being able to, we speak on things anywhere from respect to sexual harassment. I found out as a dean that when I stopped getting mad and really began teaching again was as adults. And I think everyone needs to understand this, regardless if you coach basketball, work in education or not. But we get mad at people for things that they've never been taught. Yeah. And, so rather than getting mad at this person because they didn't do this, and actually, in actuality, they've never been taught that they shouldn't do this. Right. They've never been taught that they should do this. Right. So us as adults, we get mad because we were taught differently. And so, those are things that we try to impress upon them and, get them to feel comfortable and, have relationships. And then also we have fun, with our programs it's not like, hey, we need to study this because we need to get this test right. It's like, hey, this is going to develop you into a positive human being. And we try to work the parents, the students, as well as the administration, and the teachers. If we can work with the kids, and then we have like our culmination events where we invite the parents. And a lot of times that may be the parents' first time in their kid's school. Wow. And now at that point, we try to bridge that gap between the school, the administrators, the teachers, and the parents once we get the parents in there. Man, so you guys are doing a lot of work. And I appreciate that, brother, because sometimes we see all the work that needs to be done,
And we would say, nope, I'm just gonna stick in my lane. I ain't gonna try to tackle that. I ain't gonna try to touch it. I'm just gonna do what this is basketball. This ain't got nothing to do with the community. This is basketball. This ain't got nothing to do with changing lives. This is basketball. But you saw it as an opportunity to say, nah, this is community. This is everything. One thing that you said there that I love, you said, we teach the kids that they have a voice. I think that is so profound because I'm from the generation where it was sit down and shut up, right? You hear grown folks talking, you keep your mouth closed. So that, I understand what adults were doing at that time, but maybe they didn't understand what they were doing at that time, where they were crushing a child's voice and its identity, you know, because we all have opinions, we all have ideas and things of that nature. So you give the kids a voice. I love the fact that you said you help them understand, or you build that relationship. And it's easy for you because you from Chicago, you there. So I think one thing that we do with kids is let them know that you may not think that I understand what it's like to be 15, 14, 12 years old, but I do. And guess what? When I was 15, 14, 12 years old, I dealt with some of the same stuff and these same conditions that you guys were in. And I love that you say you're working with the administrations, teachers, and helping them to understand that these kids have a voice. Because I want to go back to a study that was done some years ago. I can't remember the name of the study, but when they brought these educators in to teach these kids, they told the educators that all of these kids were gifted, but they were not. But that's what they told the educators. Now, the educators went into this situation with that expectation that they were going to teach gifted kids. And by the time they were done with those kids, because they had a different expectation of those kids became gifted, right? So talk a little bit about some of the things that you've seen in the kids, because you've developed that relationship where another educator might not have seen the greatness in that kid because they're trying to put them in a box, or they're not taking the time to get to know those kids. I know you got tons of examples, but give me a couple examples of some kids that you saw greatness in because you developed a relationship where on the outside looking in, you probably couldn't see nothing but maybe a thug or a hoodlum, or maybe a young lady who's exposing her body because she, like you said, there's some things they haven't been taught, right? But you develop a relationship and you saw something in them. Give me an example, one or two examples of how you've seen some of that over your years of doing this.
As you say, you know, it's so many throughout my time. It's been so many. I'm grateful for it. But I would say, and real quick, want to touch on your point. I read a book, you know, other than the Financial Health Report, you know, that you read, which is a great book. Thank you. So that plug. A book called Mindset, and they talk about the difference in a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And so that study explains the growth mindset. You know, when you come in and get people to understand you do the work, the results will come, as opposed to a fixed mindset like I am this because I was born into this. And if you don't succeed, then you get crushed. So, you know, understanding the difference in a fixed and growth mindset is huge. But real quick, I'm gonna touch on, I had a situation probably a few weeks ago. And I spoke on it. I did a Facebook Live, but we were in the gym and we were, you know, the kids had to run sprints. We were closing out our day and the kids weren't making it. It was this one kid that was flipping and just real bouncy. And so he was maybe in the 4th grade. I had a 7th grader in there. And so I said, okay, if the 4th grader wins, we won't run no more. And so the 7th grader beat him. And the kid said, and now this was the kid that I had been talking to, the 7th grader, trying to reach about becoming a leader.
Right.
He beat the 4th grader. The 4th grader said, man, you stupid. The 7th grader said, why? He said, man, I'm not going to slow down so that you can win. And that was so profound to me in a lot of different ways. And I stopped the class and I said, do you all understand what happened? What he just said to this young man?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've been trying to teach him for 3-4 weeks to be a leader because he's one of the oldest in here.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't dumb himself down so that someone else can pick theirself up.
Right.
And so we ran another sprint, and at that time, no kidding, 5 other individuals beat this young man who the other 5 let win the first time.
Wow.
But after the one kid let his light shine so much,
mm-hmm.
then 5 other kids beat him.
Wow.
And that was just touching the lights. And so like those are things that I talk about in my book. And you know, the reason why I titled it what I titled it, because it's, you know, one of our mantras with Blessed2Ball, but understanding life through the game of basketball. You know,
mm-hmm.
basketball and life is really, you know, goes hand in hand. And too many times we just think about wins and losses, but we're not thinking about what's the end result in you
mm-hmm.
playing this particular sport.
Yeah, that impact is phenomenal, man. And that's a great story, because I often say the worst thing you can do to a child is set expectations too low, right?
Yeah.
And I'm glad that young man got it, because if he slows down so the 4th grader can win just for the sake of not having to run anymore, that could have set that 4th grader up for failure for the rest of his life, hoping somebody else would take their foot off the gas so that you can excel. That ain't how life works, man. And my girl, Nikisha D. Smith, says all the time, the sun don't give a care who it blinds when it shines. It's up every day, and if you can't handle it, that's your fault. That's your fault. That's some good stuff, man. That's some good stuff. So you talked a little bit about the book, man. So let's get into that a little bit. So obviously you got a real passion for the kids. You got a real passion for the game of basketball, and you were able to merge the two. And now you see your life experiences through the game as a coach, as a player, as an educator, and you wrapped all of that stuff up into a book that you're going to be able to, that I think people can pre-sale now. So we'll put the link in the chat so you can pre-order the book now. But tell us a little bit about the book, your writing process, and how it actually came to be, and how it's coming so far now that you're getting ready to launch.
Well, something that I wanted to do for years. You know, I used to joke and say, hey, when I write a book, I'm gonna do a tell-all, you know, because I got stories. You know, even as a dean, or, you know, I used to just take notes of different things. And that book will probably come out at some point in time. But this one is just kind of, it takes you a trip around the holistic component of being a student athlete. And from a coaching standpoint, what things you have to do throughout the course of a season to get the kids to a better place.
Right.
And, you know, I touched on, you know, John Wooden, who, you know, I used to read a lot of his books and, you know, still do. And with his pyramid of success, you know, which I think was brilliant, especially at that point in time, and how the details, you know, anybody that ever played for me, they know don't miss a line when it's time to run, you know, how those shoes tied up, you know, and John Wooden would do things, you know, he used to teach his players on the first day how to put their socks on.
Right.
Because, you know, if your socks aren't properly up, that's going to affect your feet. That's going to affect everything that you do. So, you know, I kind of touched on some of the things that I learned from him, but just kind of went on a trip of, excuse me, things that I dealt with, things that helped me, and not only from a basketball standpoint, but also from a leadership standpoint. You know, again, me being a teacher, as well as a coach, you know, now we understand that, you know, it's so many different things that we can coach people on, but that's also being a leader, you know, and so it just kind of, you know, takes you on a trip of from the beginning of the season to the end of the season, all the things that go into my life and the people that I was able to, you know, research and just notice and study, you know, throughout my time as a coach. So, you know, it just kind of, you know, takes you on a little trip in the story. But and that came about really, you know, I got motivated really from, you know, the times that we talk, you know, and watching, you know, you and your show. And you know, I've put myself in a place probably the last 6 or 7 months to where I'm taking on a new career. And what we do with, you know, the financial education, but being a part of some great people. And, you know, once I started seeing, okay, you know, this is possible. The same way, like with, you know, kind of what I do with the students, you know, and as you say all the time, you're getting on your show, talking to yourself, you just invite us in. Right. You know, exactly. Like, okay, this person has done it. This, you know, let me get to it, you know, and kind of let me get focused and, you know, put it together. So, you know, I definitely thank you, man, for, you know, all the help that, you know, you've been giving me and to just make this dream a reality, you know, to go out there and do it instead of procrastinating, sitting on my hands and waiting.
Yeah, and you talked a little about a couple of things there, leadership one, but I want to talk on something a little bit unique. Because you coach basketball at the college level, and that means you recruited, you went in, and then you got kids from all over the country. I want see when you're talking about basketball as a life skill training situation, it's one of those things. I would say football is probably another one of those things. But when you bring a basketball team together at the college level, you are bringing kids from all over the country, all different backgrounds, and then you have to get them to, first of all, compete, but then to sort out where they're going to be in the hierarchy of the team. But then once we get that all sorted out, you want them to be able to compete, but then as individuals, but then you have to force them or figure out how to make sure that they collaborate and compete as a collective. How is it bringing personalities, bringing different upbringings, bringing different social economic statuses together, all of that kind of stuff, man? How is it to be able to blend, or what kind of work goes into blending all of that stuff? Because as we know, I think my son listens to one of Nelly's songs that say, we came together under these same colors as a team, but we're leaving as brothers, right? Sometimes that, you know, I got to do that in 9 months, in a 9-month season. How is it to be a coach and a leader to deal with the different personalities, and what are some of the tactics that you have to use to get them to come together, to believe in themselves, and to build that brotherhood and that family?
Well, one, again, going back to relationships, which builds up trust. People talk about Phil Jackson, that he had the sweetest job in the world because he was able to coach Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Shaq, and Kobe. But Phil probably had the hardest job because Phil had to get personalities to mesh, and dominant personalities. And, you know, coaches have a tough job of that. So you have to be able to get those personalities to gel and understand that we're here for one common goal. And I always was transparent, and I have been transparent with my guys, you know, in terms of use this little orange thing, don't let it use you. And, you know, 2 points that I talk about in the book is one, roles. You know, from day one, I would pull each kid in and get them to understand what my role for them is on this team. Now, you know, because I've never promised playing time to a kid, never will. You know, if, again, that growth mindset, if you do the work, the results will come. This is what I need for you to do. And if you can accept that, we can go a long way, because we can be good without you, but we can be great with you. And I have that same conversation with all of them, and then to bring them all together. And, you know, as coaches, a lot of times you have to check it. Hey, I don't need you shooting that shot. Like, this person is a better shooter. This is your strength. This is what I need you to do. But then the second thing I talk about in the book is shared suffering. And we did a lot of things as a team. And when players are able to, again, form those relationships, be it if you're on the road, you know, and you putting people in rooms with, you know, people that they may not be as close with at first, you know, so, you know, you're not going to get in the room with your buddy because y'all already know each other, you know, and people, you know, used to call me Coach Carter when the movie came out because I was doing those things that he was doing, you know, when the movie came out, or, you know, remember the Titans, like those type of things, but coaching is universal. And so with shared suffering, you know, if we're running, you know, I'm not just going to punish the person who, or correct the person. Let me change that. I'm not going to correct the person who say didn't do what they were supposed to do. I'm going to correct the whole team. And then what that does is that builds ownership. And once everyone understands that they have ownership in the team, I have a voice too. Even though I may be the 11th or the 12th man, I have a voice to be able to get this person to be able to get himself better. And by doing that, that's going to make me better, you know, and everything was a competition from grades, you know, to on the court. And it was never about points. It was about how many charges can you get? What type of grade point average can you get? How many boards can you get? You know, what is it that you can do that is not comes easy to you, you know, and scoring everybody like do that. So, you know, with the shared suffering and the roles, those things you have to touch on and really get a grip on early, because now, you know, the superstar on the team, he's not going to miss that line if he know that he got 11, 12 more guys that's going to be in his head and in his face, because we have to get this right. And those are the small details, you know, that I've always done to bring those guys together. And then it forms a brotherhood once it gets done. Yeah,
I love that, man. Shared suffering, man. That's a good analogy there. And you talked about, you know, a lot of different things there, but that shared suffering, I think that is critically important. And of course, building the relationships, assigning roles and all that stuff. But also you talked about everything is a competition. You're challenging them at every turn. And that's important. And that's another correlation between life and basketball, because life will challenge you at every turn. Everybody, no matter what you're going after, somebody else is going after that too, right? So you have to challenge yourself at every turn. Nothing's going to be easy. So I love that challenging standpoint. So the book is ready for pre-orders today. So we'll drop the links there so people can run out and pre-order the book. Do you have an anticipated release date for the book?
I'm looking at May 15th right now. That is the anticipated launch of it. And, you know, for those that do pre-sale, I'm still working on a couple, you know, different goodies. They may get a written basketball workout, you know, inserted into the book. Say if they have a kid or a nephew or niece, someone, and, you know, I'm working on a couple different audio motivation, just, you know, different things, me in action, just teaching that everyone that pre-orders will get.
Okay, awesome. So wonderful offer. Really quickly, I want to say this about our Black Literature Week. Next week, we have authors on Anitris Montgomery, 30 Days to Life. She's going to be on the show next week. We also have author Brandy Gates is going to be on the show with Through My Eyes. It's got a wonderful book there. We're also going to have one of the co-authors of Pretty in His Presence, Miss Ray J. Johnson, is going to be on the show next week as well, along with a host of others. Have 10 different authors on next week talking about their projects and how, you know, what they've gone through and the writing process and all that kind of stuff. So I know a lot of this stuff was in you, Karvell, but in your process, you know, Is it a hard thing to do to get your thoughts out on paper, man, and get them all organized? What was that process like as you went through that part?
It was difficult. I'm not gonna say that it wasn't. The whole process, and you know, when you're trying to do something good, obstacles arise. You know, me personally, I can get in the writer's groove, you know, put some music on or something, get in the groove. And the thing that made it easy was once I understood kind of where I was gonna go with it, I could just flow because it was all, you know, I basically lived it, you know, so I was able to do that. But just kind of breaking down the outline, how, you know, the things that I wanted to talk about, because obviously in your first book, you want to just splurge, you know, and talk about everything. You know, so I wanted to just kind of keep it, you know, basic in terms of with different principles and styles and dealing with coaching and leadership. So once I got going, it wasn't, you know, as difficult, but you know, because I did self-publish and, you know, those things, it's not an easy road, but you learn through your mistakes or the mistakes of others. And so, you know, I'm pretty sure that the next one will be a little bit easier. But yeah, no, it was pretty difficult. You know, I won't sit up and say, you know, hey, I was able to get it done in, you know, a couple of days. It actually took me longer than I thought that it would take me. But it was well worth it, man.
Gotcha. So if you guys got questions for Karvell on what he's doing in the Chicagoland area, if you're in the Chicagoland area, of course, we're going to let you know how your kids can be a part of the program. If you're administrators and are close with those in authoritative positions that can bring in this program as an after-school program, if you want to donate to the program or to a school so they can afford the program, let's talk a little bit about that. So start putting your questions in. But real quick, let me ask you this. Leadership, are leaders born or are they developed?
Actually, you know, that's funny because I talk about that in the book too. I actually think that leaders are born, but I think that leadership is developed.
Okay.
And I think that it's a difference because, you know, with leadership, you know, or everyone that is a leader or that's in leadership is not necessarily a leader.
Right.
You know, so you can kind of be taught to be put in leadership, but I think the leaders are born.
Gotcha. Good stuff. I would agree there, or at least the leaders are born with more of those characteristics than anybody else, and if they're properly coached and developed, then they can find themselves in a leadership position. So that's cool. So with let's talk a little bit. Let's go back to Chicago and the environment there. We know that they say the schools are suffering. We know that they say, you know, of course, they're always talking about the murder count. We had a lot of people commenting on the stream that, yes, they're from Omaha, there's from other places, and that's all they hear about is the, you know, the negativity. Talk a little bit about, man, some of the other really good things about Chicago that Chicago has going forward. That because on this program, I like to focus on two things: positivity and solutions. Right? I let some other shows do the negative stuff and all that and the problems, but I like to focus on solutions. Talk really quickly about a few things that Chicago have or are doing right. A few things that Chicago got going good for itself. We know about what they say is wrong with Chicago. Talk about a few things, few programs, few areas, few school districts or whatever that's got some things going right and that more people should know about.
Talent, man. You know, I think that as a whole, Chicagoland is a cesspool of talented individuals, and not
just basketball, right?
Right. I mean, and that's why I'm saying just totally talented from artists to, you know, people that's gifted with their hands, their minds, their feet. You know, a lot of things come out of Chicago. You know, with you all being in St. Louis, you know, maybe you know, kind of, you know, heard, but just in terms of, you know, like, you know, step, you know, people call it, you know, the two-step, you know, R. Kelly kind of made it national with, you know, Step in the Name of Love and all that, but that's like a Chicago, you know, bred, like, you know, dance and a way to express emotions. You know, kids, you know, they footwork, you know, us in our, you know, age, you know, 40s and, you know, early 50s, you know, house music, like, you know, those are things, you know, if you come to Chicago around the 4th of July weekend, they have what they call the Chosen Few Picnic. And that's a house party. And literally it's close to 100,000 people, like in one kind of gated area where there's no problems. Like it's, you know, they're playing house music and kind of like a spiritual thing. The ones that understand house music, you know, those are the parties that you can go to. They're not going to search you, because it's a different type of person coming in there, you know, but just talented, man. From, you know, we have talented teachers, you know, you know, wife is a teacher, you know, obviously, so I'm biased, I'm in education, you know, we have a lot of great companies. You know, the thing that's missing here, I would say, is opportunity. And, you know, we always hear, you know, the crabs in the barrel syndrome, but kind of like, you know, what you said with school a lot of times, when our parents sit down and shut up, you know, sometimes we have to let people express themselves. And unfortunately, because of the lack of opportunity, not necessarily resources, but the lack of opportunity breeds a lot of the disdain and, you know, the hate, you know. But just in one word, I would say talent, man. I mean, you know, Chicago is talented from top to bottom. And if those individuals can, you know, I mean, if you just look from, you know, the NBA and the arts and entertainment, you know, literature, you know, how many people came from Chicago. But, you know, unfortunately, sometimes it takes for them to leave Chicago, and then they blow up. And then you get, hey, that person from Chicago, this person used to live in Chicago, you know. So just talent, man. It's tons of talent here that, you know, as you always say, it just needs to be tapped into, you know. And if people can just have the confidence in themselves and, you know, branch out and let their talent be, you know, shown, then, you know, that's, you know, great, you know. And I kind of talk about that in my class. You know, I say, hey, for the guy standing on the corner, you know, and I know some of your story, but the guy standing on the corner, like, they have people skills, customer service skills, you know, buying wholesale, selling, you know, retail, you know, so they do a lot of entrepreneurial things, but they're not thinking about it that way. You know. So So
now you said something very profound, man, and this is why we need other media outlets. This is why we need our own media outlets. You said every year around the 4th of July, you can get 100,000 people in a gated space and have 0 incidents. Why we don't hear about that? Why we don't hear about that? Now, we hear about the traffic stop where the kid or the black man or the black woman sassed the police officer and all that. Why we don't hear about 100,000 people came together in one place, played some music, had a good time, and no incidents, right? See, that's why we got to have our own media outlets, brother. So tell everybody how they can get their kid involved in Blessed2Ball, and also tell them if they know administrators, if they are administrators in the school system, how they can bring Blessed2Ball in to help. Well,
you can go to our website, which is blessed2ballsd.com. That's BLESSED, the letter or the number 2, the word ball, BALL, the letter S is in skill, and D is in development.com. That's Blessed2Ball, #2, Blessed2BallSD.com. Our email address is blessed2ballsd@gmail.com. Blessed2ballsd@gmail.com. You can look on our website. You can reach out to us, you know, and let us know what it is that you're looking to do with your kid. Now, mind you, you know, and I was kind of bashful about saying it, you know, but again, with hearing, you know, you not being afraid to say what you said, you know, and I've always had people to say, hey man, you're a college coach, you know, so you got to understand, you know, your value. Blessed2Ball is not a babysitting service. You know, we are going to work. I have tons of pictures, and you know, I love to make kids have to go to the garbage can and throw up. You know, because they're working past what they thought that they could do.
Exactly.
So if you know you're just looking for something to, you know, hey, put your kid in, and you know, so that maybe you can have some free time. If they're not, you know, ready, and if they're not serious, you know, about learning both mentally as well as physically, this is not the program for them. But if they're really trying to use basketball to put themselves in a better situation, then this is the program. You're gonna get a former Division I junior college head coach working with your kids as well as you, and being able to, you know, get you to understand what coaches think, because players, and there are a lot of great players out here that are doing what I do in terms of skill development, but they can only tell you from a player standpoint. So that's a player talking to a player. With me, you get not only a coach talking to a player or parent, but a head coach. So head coaches look at things differently than assistant coaches do, or than players do. So, you know, I'm kind of the cheat sheet. You know, people play the game of cheat code. I'm kind of the cheat code, you know, to get you to understand what, how, when, and why you should do the things on the basketball court that you do. And for any administrators out there, anyone know any administrators in, you know, the Chicagoland area, surrounding suburbs, you know, please have them reach out to me. Or please, you know, shoot me an email, contact me, I can contact them. You know, we're really looking to expand our character development program. You know, we want to be able to help over 100 schools next year, because being a teacher, understanding what happens in the classroom, yes, they do have to focus on, you know, getting the kids prepared for those standardized tests. But a lot of teachers cannot teach because they're so busy dealing with discipline issues, which are kind of character issues. So we can come in and kind of be that extra resource to, you know, teach and educate on character, of how they should act, what they should do. And you get one person into 10 people, now, you know, a whole classroom, and, you know, a whole department to be able to change the complexity of the school. Now the teachers can start teaching.
Yeah, that is powerful, because I talk about that all the time. Number one, the schools being overcrowded in the classroom, so that's difficult enough. You know, I like the idea of separating boys from girls. Boys just don't seem to concentrate as well when there's a girl in the room that they're trying to impress, so they don't focus. So that's another issue that we really have to. But then developing character, right? Because we can't make all the segregate all the schools, boys and girls, but we can help develop the young men's character so that they know what's important, so that they can focus on where, put their attention where it should be. The young ladies can understand within their character how some of the things that they do based on the way that they've been taught affects these brothers. And guess what? When you put it all together, like basketball and life, you put it all together, young ladies, if you can understand the impact that you have on brothers in school, I promise you, you will have a better selection of mates when it's that time. Not that we're blaming you, but what we're saying is, while a woman could never change a man, she can sure enough be his inspiration for changing himself. And if we can get our young ladies to understand that at a young age, how they carry themselves can impact how brothers behave in those critical moments where they need to be getting their education, that can make for a stronger man in the future. And a stronger man in the future means a stronger community. A stronger community means a stronger nation. And we can go on a whole nother show, man, for all of that. So I just really appreciate that, man, that you came on this morning, man. Good luck to you with the book. Guys, I want you to do me a favor. I want everybody who's listening to go over to Blessed2Ball SD fan page, give them a like on the fan page. Then I want you to go to the link in the description. I'm about to throw it up now, and go ahead and pre-order the book, right? Pre-order the book. Like what you're gonna learn in this book is how those who are participating in the sport of basketball, how they can transfer those skills into life, as well as how parents can deal with kids that they have, young athletes, how parents can deal with coaches, because sometimes we have our kids with a good coach, but because they ain't getting the playing time, we want to move them to another coach and all that stuff. You could be ruining your kids literally by all of that kind of stuff, man, because you might need to be in, Nada says, and vice versa. Yes, when we build the character of the brothers at a young age, then they understand how that affects the sisters. And yes, we are solid, man. So I thank you so much, Karvell, for giving me your time this morning, man. I know you got to get back to the family and getting everything rolling there. Any last thoughts, man, before we get out of here?
Anything's possible, man. You know, anything's possible. Keep working, keep striving. You know, this is something that I wanted to do for years, just didn't know exactly how to do it. And when it was all said and done, I wound up, you know, self-publishing. So, you know, I know, you know, like Evan just dropped a book, you know, the 12 Black Billionaires. You know, I know that, you know, you just dropped a book, you know, Monetize My Life, you know, and we're starting to get a lot of Black authors, and, you know, even those that are self-publishing. So, you know, we're business minded, and, you know, I want people to start thinking about developing themselves from a business standpoint so that they can put themselves in a better situation, excuse me, when they're ready to put their feet up, you know? And so, you know, keep on striving and ask questions, you know, ask questions. And at times, you know, I may feel like I'm asking too many questions, but I'm a talker and I'm a learner, you know, so ask questions, get around like-minded people, you know, find out things, you know, you know, I read one time that a wise man, you know, said that he didn't know anything. And so that was what made him wise, because he understood that he always had to be in search for knowledge. And so, you know, keep on searching, man. But I definitely thank you, not only, you know, for all the things when, you know, we talk personally, but, you know, definitely for having me on this show. You know, go out, pre-order the book, you know, let's, you know, I'm really trying to get, you know, break that mark, you know, the, you know, 200-300 mark, to where, you know, now people started, you know, turning heads like, hey, who is this, you know, person? What is going on? You know, coaches, you know, great book for coaches to be able to sit down and, you know, do some coaching clinics with their own coaches together. But hey, man, I definitely thank you, you know, for having me on. And I got to come to St. Louis, man. We got to put something together.
Yes, sir.
You know what you do, you know, with your strength, you know, training and everything. And, you know, let's come and set St. Louis up, man. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Now you saying anything's possible, you sound like another Chicago guy, Kevin Garnett. Anything's possible.
Yes, sir. Yes,
so,
sir.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you for coming on, man. So I'm Hcortez. This is Talking Money in the Morning Live. You've been tuning in to, listening to, and learning from founder of Blessed2Ball and CEO Karvell Bailey, and how he's teaching life skills through the game of basketball. Keep in mind, if you are an author, I have a couple spots for Black Literacy Week next week. So just get in touch with me, and I can get you on the show for that week. We are showcasing 10 Black authors and their works all week next week. I think that's going to be super fun. Also, if you are looking for credit restoration and or wealth building principles and strategies, Project 1000 is probably something you want to investigate. So just hit me up and I can get you the details on that. So with that, I am your main man, Hcortez, the one and only financial health mentor to the Black community. Until we talk to you next time, I want you to get your money up because you absolutely can do it. Peace out, people. Yes, ma'am. Of course.